Welcome to Adventures from the Bedrooms of African Women, the podcast where we talk all things sex, sexuality, and pleasure. I'm none other than your girl, Nana Darkoa.
And I'm your girl, Malaka Grant.
And as you know, we have been BFFFL since we were teenagers. And for those who don't know, BFFFL stands for Best Friend for Frickin' Life.
A little bit of shade in there.
I mean, people will soon find out why. And at the same time, yes, I believe in big love and there's love to go around. But some people be trying to step over the line.
Over their boundaries.
Seriously, just because I have been allowing people to love on you, they want to try and replace me as your bestie. But you, it's okay. I mean, for this episode, we have somebody special. We thought we want to have a couple of episodes where, it's us chatting to our girlfriends about everything under the sun, right? The kind of conversation you have over a glass of wine. And so you invited one of your friends,
Lydia Forson,
who thinks she's your best friend. Hey, Lydia.
She could never replace you.
Hey, Lydia. I mean, and lots of people will know Lydia. Lydia Forson is an incredible actress. She's a hot, sexy woman.
She is.
She's an activist. She speaks up and out about all of the issues we need people to speak out on.
She's an entrepreneur. She makes this fantastic hair cream. Y'all check out Kinky Matters. Yes, I am shouting out and plugging my bestie, not BFFL,
okay,
but
good.
one of my besties. And she's got over 700,000 followers on Twitter.
Hey!
Nearly 3 million on Instagram.
Whoa.
And as a married mother, I sometimes live vicariously through her and her glamorous life. And so I started off by asking her, what's the best thing about being single?
The immediate answer that came into my mind was freedom. I think being single means I get to pack my bag and travel wherever I want to go. Being single means when I'm making decisions, I, make it for myself. I don't think we even realize how much our lives change when we bring another person in it. Funny story, I like to post random things on my WhatsApp status. And I realize that when I'm dating, I'm actually conscious of the things that I post. Because I'm wondering, is he going to read it and think I'm talking about him? Because I've had these kind of, experiences where my partner's like, were you talking about me? Or are you talking about the fight we had the last time and all of that?
So it's funny that you talk about, your partner, and everybody in Ghana thinks that, you're this 30-something-year-old woman who is, lonely and alone because you're not married. So I'm so glad we're having this conversation so we can dispel that myth. What has it been like dating and living in Accra?
Let me just tell you straight off the bat that dating in Accra, at least personally, it's crazy. It was not great when I was not a celebrity, and it's even worse now that I am. You meet a Ghanaian guy, it's like, I love you. It's his idea of asking you out. But then in that crazy pool, I have met amazing people. But I'm not going to lie that it's such a small pool of them that it becomes very difficult to navigate. I find myself dating a lot of people from my past, old school loves, because they're people, when you become a public figure and you meet people, you can't always trust their intentions. You're always on the edge because you just never know. But, I find that a lot of people from my past know me, know Lydia celebrity. So it can be very easy and chilled.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it can be. I've never gone back to anybody in my past, but I could.
I was going to ask. I was definitely going to ask. You've been married for so long.
Yeah, I've been married 18 years.
Oh my goodness. Tell me, what has that been like? I've always wanted to ask, for you, and of course times have changed, but did you always know you wanted to get married, or you feel like it was just the next step, the next thing? or what was expected of you as a woman?
This is a difficult question to answer because it requires so much honesty, right?
Yeah.
But that's why we're here. We're here to be honest. I always knew that I would have to get married at some point. I just felt like it was an obligation for me as, an African woman, Ghanaian girl growing up, that one day, you're expected to bring home a husband. And the reason I knew this is because when I was younger, I wanted to adopt. So when my dad came to pick me up from school, the day I made this decision, I was so excited. Now, again, I'm like 12, maybe not even 13 years old. And I was like, Daddy, I think I want to adopt. And he's like, before you think about adopting somebody else's child, you need to get married and have your own children.
I mean,
I was like,
I was expecting that.
Such a typical Ghanaian answer. Like, I was like, oh. So like, he didn't even interrogate why. Why do you feel this way? Why at such a young age are you even thinking about, adoption? Why is this important to you? It's like, no, you have to carry on this lineage. The lineage is what's important. So yeah, I mean, it wasn't something I was necessarily excited about. I never dreamed of my wedding day. I wasn't like one of those girls who was like, oh, this is what my dress is going to look like. But yeah, it's not something I fantasized about. It was on my to-do list.
For me, I wanted to get married very early, for the sole purpose of having sex.
Legalize sex.
Legalize sex. And I dreamt of my wedding day, what I was going to wear, how it was going to be, so every guy, I would meet, it was, I love you, when are we getting married? Right? It was only into, my 20s, late 20s that, the transition went from what I wanted to feeling like it was something I have to do to now I realize it's all on me and what I want to do. Right.
So we're living in a world where, we're slowly inching towards gender parity. And, some people think that the roles are being reversed, that women are just trying to be dominant. Do you think that men are being socialized to date modern women?
Yeah, I mean, I remember having a conversation with my dad several years ago, telling him how, it's great that he was such an encouraging father. I grew up, being encouraged to be independent, my world, my rules. But I asked him, what did you do to create a place for a woman like me in this world? Because the reality is, whilst I can be anything that I want to be, I don't think a lot of men have been socialized for the women that we are raising. And when you are an influential woman, you have certain resources and you're dating men who don't have as much as you, it is a lot of times very difficult for the man because he's been socialized to have more than the woman. He's been socialized to be the provider. So if you have more money than him, he does not know how to navigate that relationship. And I have found myself, as educated and advanced as I am, a lot of times hiding my strengths, hiding my achievements, hiding how much I have because I don't want to embarrass my partner. I've met great guys who don't have as much, and I don't mind, but I realize evidently they have a problem with it. And no matter how woke, how progressive they are, eventually they succumb to the idea that, yeah, they should have more than me. And in every argument, oh, you think you have more money than me? I've not said that. You think I have more money.
This is your hang up.
But it's the sad reality that as we're encouraging young girls to go out there and be boss chicks, boss ladies, make all the money, and raising young girls for a world that, treats them equally, we are not raising young boys to be accepting of women who are equal to them or in some cases have more than them. But I have to ask, listening to, your marriage and your household, and I know your dynamics are very different from a lot of, traditional stories we've heard about, being married. What would you say is the one myth about being married? And there's this idea of what a marriage, should look like. So what were your expectations of getting married? And as you have been married for so long, what would you say is the one myth about, being married?
Ooh, okay. This is a tough one. Okay. So my expectations going into my marriage, I expected it to be a continuation of our dating life, which was always based on, mutual respect and equality. And I didn't expect patriarchy to rear its head in my marriage the way it did. I'm like, for me, it was a shock because, we had gone to university together and, there was always a sense of equality in the dynamics of our relationship that suddenly, okay, now we're married and it's like, boof, that's all gone. And honestly, I was like, if I knew this was going to happen, I absolutely would have refused the marriage proposal. So I remember, one night I can't even remember what we were discussing, arguing, whatever it was. But I remember he said, if we cannot come to an agreement, I, as the man, am the head of the household. And whatever my views are on this subject will have to stand if we cannot agree. And I just sat there and looked at him like he was a fish walking on land with two heads. I was like, no, this Negro did not. And I'm like, I graduated summa cum laude. You graduated by the grace of God.
Oh, good.
I'm like, I am older. I've been walking this earth 6 months longer than you have. I'm like, why should your opinion or your view, just because you got, a certain set of genitalia between your legs, trump my views on the matter? So yeah, that was difficult to navigate. I'm like, no, that's not going to work at all. Maybe it's just not going to work.
I can imagine.
I was mad at him for weeks over that. And he didn't understand why, because, that was the way he was brought up. That was the teaching in our church. Like that was it. And I was like, yeah, no.
The man is the head of the house.
Nonsense. I think that the biggest myth about marriage is that the person that you marry is your soulmate, right? I think that we have romanticized marriage to our detriment. My husband is not my soulmate, and he knows this. Like, and it's fine. My sister is my soulmate. It's because, like, on a spiritual level, we have a connection with one another that I don't have with my husband. I love him dearly. I will do anything for him. I will sacrifice I have sacrificed a lot for him. But, the people are like, oh my gosh, within 6 months of their spouse dying, they also died. I'm like, I know I'll be fine. But if my sister dies, I'm jumping in the grave with her. Because she's like the one person on this earth that I know that I cannot continue to, outside of you, Lydia, outside of you.
I'm just sitting here going like,
You're a close second.
I'm like, she's going to be fine when I go.
She's going to be fine when I go. I won't be fine. It will be ashes and sackcloth. I won't make it. But yeah, I think that, we've romanticized this idea that and that's why it's, it's supposed to be so devastating when a marriage ends, because it's like, oh my God, that was your soulmate. And now half of your soul is floating someplace else. It's like, nah, not necessarily.
But do you think that the idea of marriage, like soulmates, has been romanticized to be this thing? Mm-hmm. That, everybody has to meet for, this heavy love and, this, we see the YouTube and the Instagram videos and they're crying tears and all of these things. Like what is marriage? It sounds like a exam question, but really, what is marriage?
I think for me, it's an aspiration that you have of a life that you want to lead, and with a partner or multiple partners to achieve a certain goal. Now you determine what that goal is. If the goal is to have children, if the goal is to, I don't know, build a legacy between two people. Like some people just can't have kids or don't want to have kids. If the goal is just to walk this earth with one person who understands you, and do that for, however long that you're able to do that on this earth. I don't know, like for me, marriage has provided a level of security. It's nice knowing that I will come home to the same person. And even though we have the same conversations, because my husband is repetitive as a mug, there's a certain level of comfort in that. But yeah, it's the more I think about marriage, the more difficult it is to define, because it's always been presented as this one thing. You wear a white dress, you go and stand in front of a pastor, he marries you. But it's like a cake. You turn it into whatever you want to, and it works.
That's very powerful. I didn't know we were going to go there, but I love that we did.
I love that we went there.
Yeah.
So that being said, you're actually bringing me to a question that I've had. It's like, how often do people badger you about marriage, and how have you avoided succumbing to that kind of pressure? Because Ghana is pressure.
I mean, when it comes to the pressure, I think it's, if I can make it through the day without anyone using marriage to abuse me, married and children to abuse me, then I've had a good day. Mm-hmm. And what's interesting is this didn't even start in my 30s. This started well in my 20s. I remember my first interview, as a public figure. And it was also, when are you getting married? And I was like, I don't even have a car yet. Like, why are we asking this question? And so it has never stopped. And I'm not going to sit here and say it doesn't get to me. It does, because like one time, right, I won an award, and I called a family member to share with them, and then someone next to them said, "Oh, congratulations on your award. So hopefully next time, you'll be getting married." And it hurt me, because it seems everything else I do is meaningless without a marriage. So I could be busting my ass, working hard. I've achieved all of these things. I've traveled around the world, and someone would take one look at me and say, I am not enough. And whenever they say that, why that hurts is because I think of my journey. I think of all I've had to do. I think of all the tears, the sleepless nights, the times I've been broke. I think of all the hard work I've put in, and it's erased. Mm-hmm. That is the part that hurts. And don't think for a second people don't ask me out. Mm-hmm. Don't think for a second I don't have options. It has been my choice, because I have not found what I am looking for. Mm-hmm. But what has prevented me for succumbing to all of these things is because that will be pleasing a whole bunch of people who don't have to go to bed with me at night. Is I want to be able to live with the decision that I make. I want to be happy with who I am. Mm-hmm. That is the only reason, not because I'm the strongest, not because I'm the smartest, not because I'm this tough person who does not care. I want to be able to live with whatever decision that I make.
Authentically. Yeah. We're going to slip into the juiciness now. You and I have spent a lot of time talking about marriage, and I've been married for 18 years. But what I really want to know is, as a single woman, has somebody ever, made a freaky proposition to you that just made you pause?
I have the perfect answer for you. When I was like 17, 18, I met this guy, this white guy online. We became friends instantly, but he came with conditions. So he told me that, I'm a white guy, so I know I will not be able to satisfy you like a black guy would. Mm-mm. Yeah. I don't know what he'd been reading or what so, and I was of course young, naive. I was like, no, why would you even say that? And he said, if we get married, you're allowed to date other black men.
Bro.
Right? So initially that sounded like, that's fantastic. I get to eat my cake and have it. See, men have this idea that they are the only ones who may want options, right? But I thought it was so fun. It didn't stop there. He said, in addition to dating whatever black guy I want to date, when we would have sex, you'd have to watch. I am not kidding you.
You know what? I know you're not kidding me because I met a woman in Kenya whose boyfriend is also white, who actually gets her ready. He's like, you've met somebody, he helps her get dressed to go and date other men. And I'm like, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. And it was just like bizarre to me, like so bizarre. And at that age, I'm like, the idea of marriage is like, you're supposed to be my husband. You're supposed to be.
It's me and you against the world.
You know, why would you want me? But I also knew that that was just not me ultimately. But I kind of feel, you know, I don't know, like cute that someone actually thought of me and said, I want to marry you and you can do what you want. It makes me feel like such a badass, like without even doing anything for him.
See, this just proves something somebody said online, right? They said that men spend a disproportionate amount of time thinking about other men's penises. And I'm like,
they do.
You know what? It's true.
They do.
It's true. They do. From the locker room to this. And I'm like,
because like, how do you assume that even the black man I would bring in would be, you know, better than you? But
right.
He has probably gone through his whole life assuming that black man. I mean, no, shout out to black men, but not all of you. Not all of you.
Most of y'all.
Most of y'all. But I would like to ask you, as a married woman, if you have been attracted to someone outside of your marriage, if it's normal, and how you have, you know, navigated that. If it's too difficult, you can let me know.
It's not difficult. I can answer with honesty. I think it will help other people out there who are suffering with this or contemplating this. Yeah, suffering with their thoughts.
because there is an assumption that women are just one track and that's it.
I mean, I guarantee you that the majority of women have found other men attractive as they are married. Like, I mean, people are walking out here hot, like they just are. Mm-hmm. And I see them. But that doesn't necessarily mean that I want to give up everything, my home, my kids, my husband, and go be with this person just because they're cute. Mm. And I think that's the difference between, you know, I guess men and women. Like, men are like, okay, she's beautiful, I must sleep with her. And it's like, no, you don't have to do that, bro. You can acknowledge that she's a beautiful woman and not, you know, go take your pants off. So yeah.
Yeah, for most men, I've realized in my own experience that once they find you beautiful and attractive, there's an assumption that it cannot just be there. I have to have you. That is it.
Yeah. Okay, Lydia, we're asking everyone to share a sexy secret. Do you have one?
I have done some dark shit in my life. Oh boy. Sexy secrets. I mean, I would not even, I have a whole bunch of secrets I don't think the world is ready to hear. But I think one thing I have, and I'm sure you can relate, being a bigger girl, that I find myself really attracted to myself, right? Okay. The older I get, and it's in the rawness. I don't know how to put it in words, but if you've grown up a certain weight your whole life, I find that there are days when I look at myself and in its rawness, I'm talking about folds, stretch marks there and there. I'm turned on by me. This is a real body, you know? Like, I really be looking at myself and saying, damn, I can't believe I just said this, but really, that's how I'm feeling. Like, ooh, God damn. So, that's my sexy secret. I don't know what the word is for anybody who's turned on by themselves. Is there, I don't know if they've discovered it yet.
I think it's narcissist, my darling. I'm joking.
Don't hate me because I'm me.
Because you're you and you're beautiful. That is a great answer. Mine is I like being rimmed.
Yeah.
I didn't think I would, but I do.
There are things.
There are things you discover.
I love getting older because I can say these things now because I pay my own bills.
You pay your own bills.
If I were living in my father's house.
If we were living in our father's houses, we couldn't say these things. But we're grown. We can say these things. We can admit them freely. I'm so happy I got a chance to spend the afternoon with Lydia. She's funny, she's inquisitive, and I hope that people took inspiration from our conversation and just knowing that there are many ways to love and there are many people that you can invite into a relationship. But Nana, you should know that you're top. You can never be replaced.
Thank you. I am glad my position reigns supreme.
It is secure. Don't worry. Nobody's coming for your spot.
They can. So folks, I hope you had a great time. See you next week. And in the meantime, you go have that special conversation with your girlfriend, whoever she is.
Make her know that she is secure, right? Yeah, let her know that she's safe. Nana, you're safe, okay?
All right. See you next week.
And remember to keep coming.
You're so like Gakko and the keep
I am going to say keep coming.
The Adventures from the Bedrooms of African Women podcast is hosted by Malaka and Nana Darkoa Sechiama. Sally Chan, AQ Studios CEO, is an executive producer alongside the hosts. Freddie Boswell is a senior producer. Audio editors are Mercy Barno and Tevin Sudi, alongside production support from Mercy Gudaiga and Lucas Ngao. The Adventures from the Bedrooms of African Women podcast is a production of AQ Studios in partnership with Massy Media. Follow us on all our socials at AQ Studios Podcasts. Our theme music is Damn by Rhea Boss. Find Adventures from the Bedrooms of African Women anywhere you get your podcasts, and in the pursuit of all things sex, sexuality, and pleasure, follow us on all our social media platforms at Adventures From. Thank you for listening.
Damn, she's so fly. Goddamn, she might die. She goddamn with the goddess life. She every